Welcome everyone. Welcome to Hindi University. It's me Ashu and with me we have Jennifer.
Good morning.
And this is the first class for our Hindi writing. The setup is same. Initially we'll be starting with the lecture, and towards the end we'll open it up for discussion. This class will take about 8 sessions. That's my target. That in 8 sessions you should be able to read and write Devanagari script. It's a very important topic, and rather than getting into the script directly, I thought it would be a good idea to sort of look at the evolution of Devanagari script and learn about the script before we really see what the script is, right? So what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's good for a little bit of the history. I think that's interesting.
Yeah, and in the meanwhile, while we are going to the history, if you have any comments to make, or if you see some analogy with your native language, feel free to chime in, and I think it'll be a good discussion then. So I'm gonna share a slide with you. So okay, I hope you can see the slide deck. If you have any questions or if you cannot see it, write down on the comments, and we'll make sure that you should be able to see everything.
Yes, okay.
Okay, so let's start with in this particular section we'll be starting with vowels, right? And in the next sections we'll be starting with the consonants in Hindi. So just to give you a little bit idea about the Hindi script, the Hindi script is also known as Devanagari. It is derived from Nagari. There are many language patterns which are followed by languages across the globe. Devanagari is written from left to right. As is the most of the languages in the world, Hindi, English, Spanish, and a lot of other international languages are written from left to right. There are some languages which are written from right to left as well, such as Arabic, Hebrew, Urdu, Old Turkish, and Old Italian also. And that's what I learned from Wikipedia. And then there are certain languages which are written in a vertical manner, like such as like traditional Chinese and traditional Mongolian. Nowadays, I heard that it's pretty much written from left to right, but I think it's good to know that how our language writing system has evolved, right? Just make sure you mute yourself. We'll open it up for discussion towards the end. So if you think your microphone is turned on, maybe you can just take a quick note on it or mute it. A little bit more about the Hindi script. Hindi script follows Abu Diga writing system. What it means is each consonant that we have in Hindi writing, there is an inherent vowel sound in it, right? So, for example, if I'm talking about me, right, English I, right? Me has an inherent sound like E in it, right? Or give me any consonant like ma, let's say, right? It has a sound in it, right? Or let's say ko, or post position ko,
Right.
it has O sound in it, which is also our vowel, right? So that's the idea about following Abu Diga writing system. One of the other interesting property of Hindi or Devanagari is that it's a descendant of Brahmi, system. And Brahmi is actually an ancestor of all the Southern Asian writing system. And if you see on the screen, you will see some like letters written, and those are like coming from the Brahmi writing system. As you can see, the vowels like a, e, u, a, I, and o, those are exactly the same like vowel system which are sort of are derived within the Devanagari script. And as I mentioned, a lot of Southern Asian writing systems they follow the same pattern, including Japanese. If you look at a Japanese vowel system, they will also have the similar sequence. Okay, just to give you a little bit of historical perspective. So Brahmi was about 500 500 years ago before Christ, right? And then now if you look at the Devanagari, it has evolved. Brahmi got evolved into Gupta, and then which got evolved into Nagari, and then Devanagari became the official or more like a stable system around 10 to 12th century, after Christ, right? And now you can see that how those are, sort of, the Brahmi is the mother of all the Southern Asian languages, as you can see in this particular graph as well. So I thought it was a good idea to sort of like show the evolution of the the language, right? Because a lot of time we get fixated that R is the purest language, or R is the the most authentic one. But usually language systems, they usually evolve.
Yes.
Right. So I think to say that it is the purest is sort of like you know. And again, like if you look at this particular graph, you'll see that on the top you have a Brahmi letter, right, which got, and you see the evolution of how the letter got changed from Brahmi into the other language patterns. And in the bottom you will see this letter Na as your Devanagari letter, right? So this also gives us a like a evolutionary perspective of the writing system. So I thought it would be a good idea, to sort of show, the background of, Devanagari before we really start seeing the letters, right? So now we'll directly come into the vowel part of the Devanagari system. As you can see on the screen, these are all the vowels used in the Devanagari script, right? And these are all the vowels used in the Devanagari script, and I'll go to each of the vowel one by one, and as we are going through it, we'll give some examples also for each of them. Um, so first one is known as right, repeat that with me. The sound right. As in alarm. As in Alaska. Right. As in ago or another. America alone. Right. All have a sound in it. Right? On the chat box, feel free to write down, any other word that you see has a sound in it. Right. Um, I'll quickly stop the screen sharing so that way I can see what you guys are writing on the. Okay. So one comment is there is a lag between the video and the audio. Um, okay, but we'll try to make sure that I'll go a little slowly so that everybody can follow it. So right now we're talking about the first letter in Devanagari. The vowel is known as A. And we usually write it as like this is how you write it. And as we mentioned in the example, as in America, right? When you say America, there is a sound in it. When you say Alaska, there is an sound in it as well. Can you think of any other words that has a sound in it? And feel free to write down on the chat box. There is no,
Don't be shy.
Yeah, don't be shy. We'll give a few more seconds to see if people would like to write down. Anar, that's very good. Anar is, that?
No, I don't know.
Pomegranate.
Oh, good.
So anar is again like our theme is
fruits and vegetables.
Yeah. So if you can think of anything, feel free to share. So anar also has a sound in it, right? So that's follow with me. Okay. As now the next topic is, and more if people are interested, feel free to write again. And I'll break it down as how to write. What is the like a step by step way to write. The first thing you do is like you make a semicircle, and then you make another semicircle, and then is a one pipe, and then vertical pipe, and then that's it. So that's
I used to think of it as the number 3 and half of an H with a line on top as I was learning it.
Yeah, anything
that works.
Yeah. Again, like you make number 3 as Jennifer mentioned, and then half of H, and then like a bar on top, right? That's Now another important point is that like I mentioned, each consonant has a vowel sound inherent in it. So, right. So let's say hypothetically, give me any consonant.
K.
K, right? So let's say hypothetically, K is, let's say, written as X. Let's say any letter, right? When you add a in it, and that's a again, the sound will be K, which is by default it has K sound in it.
Right.
So this will be K. If you're talking about consonant M, and we'll learn about consonant as we go on in the later lectures. But think of anything, any word or any consonant. If you put a in it, it will remain as it is. There's no change in the base form of the consonant, right? Clear?
So far, so good.
Yeah. Can you think of more examples of a?
Yeah, I can. Let me think.
What are some of the incorrect examples?
Well, I was going to say an incorrect example, I think, is which is part of our fruits and vegetables, right?
Yeah,
which is mango, but that's
that's right. What about apple? Like when you learn English, you say a as an apple.
Yeah.
What kind of sound you have in apple?
It's more like this one, right?
No.
Apple.
A. Right, that's a, not a.
Oh, I see.
You see, right? So apple is apple. And my pronunciation is a little different, but like as a native.
In New Jersey, it's apple.
Apple, right? So it's a, right? Yeah. What other incorrect examples can you think of?
So we have about.
About, right? It's a very good example. About is there is an a sound in it, right? Around.
Ago. Did you say ago?
Ago, yeah. Around is another one where you have a sound in it. I don't want to go too fast. I'm going to take like a pause just to make sure that if there is any confusion around it, right, we can discuss like all the negative examples as well.
Yeah.
Right. So, what are the other things that comes to your mind?
Let's
think of negative examples because those are the best way to learn. Right?
You did Alaska, right?
Alaska, I did. Any other country also you can think of, that's fine.
Austria.
Austria, okay, very good. So let's write down and see what kind of sound it has in it. And again, like if you're native, probably you will pronounce it differently. But the Austria, but the consensus is there is slowly
Austria,
which is different than right? Even in the end, you have Austria. It is not a. Right. Let's think of more scenarios.
Let's say, let me try to think of a different sound. What about abbreviate?
Abbreviate, that's very good, right? Abbreviate. Clearly a sound in it, right? What about table?
That's harder.
Let's have with the audience, what kind of sound do you have? Is it a? Yes or no? You can write down on the chat box. Does it give you a sound or a different sound? No. Okay.
No.
Okay. So that's a sound in it, right? Table a. So good, right? I mean, so as long as we are clear on it, we can move to the next letter, which is. So that's the first vowel, and hopefully it is clear. As we are going through the lecture, the final assignment of this class would be that you sort of like just quickly let me make sure that I'm there. If you have not muted yourself, please do so. Okay. Okay. So far we have covered right. The next one would be the next alphabet or next vowel is A. A. Say that with me. A. Right? So the way you write it is like you write number 3 and then half edge exactly as you wrote a. Along with that you have one more pipe. Right? That's A. another very important vowel, right? For another, some of the examples you can think of is
Mhm.
right? Arm is mango.
Yeah.
There's a sound in it.
Mhm. Anj.
Aj.
Anj.
Aj.
Yeah.
Very good. Aj is
Today.
today. Again, these are Hindi words, but you know it's good that you will learn vocabulary as well.
Mhm.
Aj is today. Anything else you can think of, you can always write down on the chat box.
Mhm.
What are some of the other?
Hindi or English?
Anything will do.
What about, well, in New Jersey for aunt, we say aunt. I don't know, A-U-N-T.
AUNT.
How do you say that?
Um,
Would it be like this?
well, there will be dot on it basically.
Oh, okay.
So,
So
I
that's
mean,
complicated.
there will be but there will be half n as well along with that.
Gotcha. Yeah.
We'll do that, you know, as we go to the end section.
We have
Aloo, very good, right? So we have one more example, which is the vegetable aloo. Aloo is potatoes. You know that?
Yep, sticking with our food theme. I like
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
So there is a sound there, aloo.
Mhm.
Let's see if we can discuss more examples of a sound. In my slides, I have more examples, but you know, I want to see if you guys can think of more. Arm, very good.
That's good. Yeah.
Arm. So even though it's one A when you write it, but there is a R sound there.
Mhm.
Arm.
Mhm.
Any other country also, if you can think of, that's completely fine as well. Can you think of
Country.
country? Anything actually. The idea is to get ourselves familiarized with the sound over and over
I was
again.
going to say the Amish,
Amish, okay, very good.
but that's not a country.
Yeah. But there is a sound in Amish.
Agnes asked, is Africa the sound?
Africa.
Mhm.
So let's discuss it.
Mhm.
So when you say Africa, your pronunciation may be different. Like I'm talking as an Indian English, and you, but
New Jersey English.
right? Regardless, you will say a,
Mhm.
which is different than a or a,
Mhm.
right? So that will be an incorrect example of a. But in a way, it's good that we discussed it.
Mhm.
What other sound do you think of?
So we have artist.
Artist, very good. Let's see. How do you say artist?
Mhm.
There is a sound in it, right? So that's like a right example of a.
Mhm.
In a way, it's good if you give negative examples because
Yeah.
that helps us test the, you know, our assumption of the sound, right? I mean, so artist, art.
Mhm.
Uh, let's see what other people. Father, very good.
Mhm.
Let's test it out. Father, right? There's a sound in it. Now, fur may be a consonant. We don't know yet,
Mhm.
right? We don't know whether fur is a consonant or not. But if assuming that fur is a consonant,
Mhm.
and you put a in it,
Mhm.
it'll be fa, right?
Mhm.
What other?
I think we had one other that I missed. What I said.
Arabic.
Arabic.
Let's test it out.
Mhm.
I hope you can see it. Okay. How will you say it?
I say
Right? Which is different than
Mhm.
right? So even though that's the whole point. I mean, even though it may sound as like you know,
Mhm.
but that's an incorrect example of when we go over then it's like a more appropriate example, right? Good, right? So I think we covered a lot more examples of sound also. We did remember it? We did so far, and the next sound is uh. Let me write it down. The next part of so again, like you know, let's say you have any base consonant
Mhm.
and you add on it, sound on it. It will become your consonant plus a pipe. That's how you will write it, right? I'll give an example. Right? I mean, we have not done any consonant yet, but the easiest would be, let's say, ra. That's one of the consonant in Hindi. But when you put a in it, it will become. So let's say the sound is ra. When you put a in it, it will become ra. So the sound will be ra. And the way you write it, you just write the consonant plus, the one of the pipe, ra. And I'll cover it as we go along in the consonant, but right now I just want to illustrate the point.
Yeah.
I'll take one more example here, just in case if people couldn't follow the first one. So let's take one another example called, take any simple consonant. Let's say sir. That's one consonant, right? I mean, you don't need to know that, but let's say you write it as sir. But when you put R in it, which is our vowel, so sir sound become sa. And again, sa has a sound of A in it in the background. And the way you write sa is you just write the base consonant, but in addition to that, there will be a vertical pipe here, which coming from A, right? So when you're reading Devanagari, or if you're reading any Devanagari script or any billboard or anything like that, if you see along with any consonant, if you see a vertical bar in it, you should know that there is I in it in the background, right? Um, Good, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully everybody is following it. If you have any questions, feel free to write it down and we'll cover it. Now I want to show the same thing with the slides. I think it's good. Good. Feedback is important, right? So keep writing the your yes and no, and that's when we'll know whether it's covered or not. So as I said, R is pretty straightforward. R sound is there in artist, car. When there is a R sound in it in car. Mars, right? Father, art, garden. All of them have R sound in it. And as I mentioned, if X is one of your consonant, if you put R in it, X will become X plus. So there is a one vertical pipe in it, right? That's R sound. Next important vowel is known as E. And I'll go over the slide and then we'll switch to the whiteboard so that way we can have a more interactive session. So think of right now, forget about how we write E. Just focus on the sound. It's E. Like think of it as like one E in English, right? English. That's it. Right? It, small it when you write, there is E sound in it.
Yeah.
Right? In has E sound in it. In sit, a soft E, right? Sit. Italy has E sound in it, right? What other words can you think of?
Igloo.
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 Igloo. Igloo has E sound in it.
Right.
And now this E sound is different than feet. When you say, how do you say feet? In
Feet.
Feet.
Yeah.
There's a little bit long E in it, right? So how about if we simplify it, like a soft E versus a long E, or a short E versus a long E? So that's an important distinction to make here.
Yeah.
Right? Let's open it up for, so some of the example that we have is it, in versus feet. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see my screen here. So we are discussing between a soft E versus a long E.
Oh, and we have some suggestions already. We have pig and fit.
Okay, very good. So let's test it out. When you say pig, is it a soft E or long E? There's an E sound in it, right?
I say it's Short.
Short.
Yeah.
Right. Pig. And the next one is?
We had fit.
Fit. So this can be a good comparison. Fit versus feet.
Yeah.
Right. That is a long one, right? And this one we have not done it yet. Right now we are just doing the soft E. Indeed. Very good. Let's test it out. So you have. So in we have already done, right? So anything which is like indeed is also by default, like there will be E sound in it.
We also had holy, like the holiday.
Holiday?
Yeah, holy. Like,
holy.
Yeah.
Holy, okay. Let's test it out, that one as well.
Just in case people don't know, that's the holiday where.
Yeah.
Well, you would describe it better than I would. I was going to say where people.
Festival of Colors.
Festival of Colors, where you come home with nice colors on your face.
So if we talk about ho, there's O sound in it.
Yep.
Right. When you talk about holy, E, is it a soft E or?
I think it's more like feet. It's a long E.
Long E? Okay. So that will fall into our long E category, right? Good example though, right?
Yeah. And then we had
Kitab.
Kitab. Marcel, a good word, which means book.
Book, right? Let's test it out. How do you say kitab or kitab?
I say kitab.
Kitab. Soft E. If you're saying the same thing with high E, right, or like a long E, it'll be kitab. And a lot of time, even as a kid, I used to make a lot of mistakes. I still do, like with these like pronunciation, and which is very natural, right? I mean, so it's like kitab. When you say kitab, there is a key E sound in it, soft E. Right? So those are examples of E, right? Are vowel E. Now let's cover how we write E. Right? Maybe you can describe it better.
You draw first.
More like, right?
These are just the tricks that I developed for when I was.
So you can describe the tricks. I usually write like this. E.
Yeah.
Now you can say that write S.
I say S with a tail.
S with a tail, right? So you write an S.
Yeah.
And then you put like a tail in it.
Yeah.
Right. And that's it. E. Right. Simple as that.
Simple as that.
Right.
Yours is very pretty.
Okay.
At our new HU TV studio, they have people mowing the lawn, so we're getting used to our new home.
Hopefully the guy.
Hopefully you can't hear it.
Okay, so now how does it impact the sound of a consonant? Right. So we discussed the consonant. Let's say again, R is one of our base consonant. R, right? When you add E, it will become re. Even though you don't know how to write it, you can tell that it will become re. And the way you write it is like you write the base consonant, and then you put like a matra. We call it matra, right? You put a matra, which is like a think of it as a waterfall on this direction on the left hand side, right? Re, right? So the formula here is like any consonant. Let's say X was my consonant. And if I put an E sound in it, the consonant will be written now as X, but it will have a waterfall on the other side, and matra on the left hand side. So it will become, if it is R, it's become Re. If it is Ma, it's become Me. If it is Sa, it becomes C. So when you say C, right, there is this C and there is SEA. Is there a different way you pronounce both of them, or is the same thing?
For me, it's the same.
Same, okay.
I like to go to the sea. Do you see out the window?
Okay.
For you?
It's pretty much the same.
Pretty much the same.
Yeah, right. But I would write it as like a soft C.
Yeah.
Right. What's the saw? Saw is a different. There's O sound in it.
Right.
We have not covered it yet. Let's see if people have more examples of E, or if it is clear. How do you write it? So assignment here is like Assignment here is, let's say, if I have a consonant and the sound is fur, and if I add e in it, what will be the target sound? Forget about how we write it. What will be the target sound? And write down in the comment section.
All right.
Okay. What else?
Great.
Fee, right? And if I write fur like this, the target will be fur, and there is a matra coming on the left hand side. Fee, right? Fiction.
Yeah.
Good, right? So I hope it is getting clearer. Let's jump to the fourth vowel. Initially, it will be a bit theoretical, and the more we make progress, once we are done with all the vowels, which I think in the next class, by next class we should be done by all the vowels. We will strengthen it quite a lot, and after that, it's all about recognizing the sound in each of the word. So even though, regardless of whether you know the meaning of the word or not, you should be able to, for each sentence, each word, you can name it, because there is an inherent vowel sound in it. You should be able to specifically or distinctly say whether which is the background vowel in that for each of the letters. Right? So I think it will become more and more fun after that.
Yeah.
Right? So that's small e. Let's do the next one, which is the fourth vowel called E. Think of it as a big brother, older brother of yours, small E. So double E. Think of it as like an E, right? So you have S with a tail, and not only in the bottom but also on the top.
Right.
From
Two tails. That's right.
Yeah.
S with two tails.
Two tails, right? E. Right. Some of the examples we already covered. Eat.
Meat.
Meat. Which one? M-double-E-T or?
Yeah, M-double-E-T. Yeah.
What about M-E-A-T?
I see those two words.
Same. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Feet, meat.
What about tea? Like to drink your tea.
Yeah. Tea.
Tea.
Yeah. T-E-A. What about cheat? Cheat is also there is a E sound in it, like a long E. Any other?
Yeah, feel free to chime in with suggestions.
Read. Very good.
Read. Yeah.
Read. And negative examples are good, so don't be afraid of writing anything.
What about teeth?
Teeth. Correct, actually. Teeth. Actually, the base sound is same as T, right. So it will be same.
And we have feed. Rena says feed. Feed.
Feed.
Yeah.
That's correct. Feed also is the E sound in it. Right? Any country name you can think of that is like
I'm thinking a little geography lesson in the morning. Huh? A little geography in the morning.
There are 50 states in America.
There are 50 states in America.
Think of anything.
Okay. You're right. Do you have one? Do you have an example as a state?
I'll think of it, but it will give me some time. Right?
I see. Okay.
I'm a human being, right? I don't have to memorize everything.
Argentina, says Marcella.
Okay, so that's she is saying her name, right? I mean, so.
And Argentina and Shireen. Yeah, I like that one.
So there is a Shireen, right? So there is E sound in it. That's a name, okay?
And we had Argentina and elephant were two examples that came up.
Okay, so let's write it down and let's test it out. So Argentina, okay, it's a tricky one because I say it completely differently than I've seen other people, especially if it is a native South American, they say it very clearly. Yeah. So mine is completely wrong.
It's not wrong. It's a variation.
Yeah. So let's see. I've seen people saying Argentina, right?
Yeah.
I grew up saying it Argentina.
That's how I grew up saying it.
Right? But so now, do you see E sound in it?
The way I say it, no.
T. So only here.
Yeah, I guess Argentina. Tina, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So what about T? If it is similar as T.
Yeah.
If this T, if and this T, the sound is similar, then I would say yes, right? But if the native speakers are saying it like with a soft E, Argentina versus Tina, like I mean, I grew up saying it like with a long E, so I would say yes. But like native speakers can correct us. If they say it softly, then it will be the earlier example. Yeah. But I think it's good,
It's
right?
a good. That's a good one. I mean, you had one which was elephant.
Elephant. Right? So let's test out elephant also. And as we go into the next class, we'll also learn how to ask a question to the native speaker. Is it a long E versus a short E, right? So that way you can clarify it, right? As opposed to thinking in your mind.
Sure.
Right. Same thing as like, is it a masculine or a feminine, right? So we'll use the formula to figure out whether it's a long E or a right? So now let's see elephant. So you have a, Eli, fair, and un. Which is closer? A, no, Li,
I think that's the closest.
Li. Okay, so let's.
If you say Li,
so let's test it out.
Yeah.
A, no. And no. There's an N sound in it, right? So that's no. So Li, right? So the sound and Bruce Lee is the same or different?
I think the way you're saying it, it sounds the same.
Sound.
Yeah. If you it's not the way. Say it again. The way you say it.
Elephant.
Then these two sound the same. Lee and elephant.
How do you say it? Do you say
I say elephant.
Elephant.
Yeah.
Soft.
So in which case it's a soft.
Soft, right?
Yeah.
So, but Bruce Lee is different.
Right.
Bruce
Lee is different.
Right. So this has like longer E versus elephant is all small, the short E. Right. And even when you write elephant in Devanagari script, so which will be Li. Now we have not done the matra here. But you remember the matra we did for E? Which side? Left hand side or right hand side?
The one we just did was on the left.
Left hand side. So if I write L or L and X, it will be Li.
Right, gotcha.
Right? Right, so good, right? I mean, we are covering decent number of examples, right? Now, let's see how it changes the property of any consonant. So if my consonant, if I write it as X, and if I add E in it, it will become X, but now the waterfall is on the right hand side, right? And I usually draw waterfall like this, that's why I'm calling it waterfall, right? But as a kid, if you're not sure, also I'll tell you a trick or a confession also, right? Yeah. So as a kid, it was very difficult for me to like, figure out which side it should go, right? So I used to just like write like this, and I just put like the thing. And like this, and my teachers were like, "What is it? Like, is it short or long?" Like it's both. You figure it out, right? So, and most of the cases, like it will be like a loophole, and they will give me a credit for it. But I mean, kids are kids, and I was like, okay, I don't know which one it should go, which way it should go. So I just like,
waterfall.
You just draw it like in a way that they cannot read it.
Right. Yeah.
So again, so this is our E. So if we take example of elephant, the E sound in elephant, which is sounded like Lee versus Lee, Bruce Lee. Supposedly, if I write L like this, which we haven't covered it, the E sound will make it like this. The waterfall on the left hand side. If it is like a long Lee, this is your base consonant, but it will become like this. Lee.
Will you just pronounce the difference between these two on our term?
So Lee versus Lee.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So as of now, you don't have to know how to write the base consonant. There's a separate you'll be covering it. But if you write this, replace it with X. Right? This is completely fine because we'll be covering it in the later classes anyways. Okay. Right?
Yeah.
I hope we are going it at a modest pace and I'm not rushing through it. But if you do feel like we are sort of like rushing it, feel free to let me know. But my basic philosophy here is like we will try to repeat it many times So even if you can't follow it for the first time, you'll be able to follow it in the next time. So Kela, okay, Pila and Kela. Okay, so let's have two more examples here.
Okay.
Pila is
Yellow.
Yellow. Right? How will you ask? Let's say if you didn't know the meaning.
पीला का मतलब क्या है?
पीला का मतलब क्या है? And पीला का मतलब yellow है. In fact, all of them. Neela. Neela is
Blue.
Blue. Right? So this is blue. So they also have E sound in it. And then there's one more which Marcella mentioned, Kela. No. So now, okay, you have to tell me. If it is Kela, which sound do you have in it?
Kela as in banana.
Yeah.
Short E.
Short E. E. Say that again.
I would say no.
No.
Kela.
A sound in it, right?
Yeah.
That's incorrect example, but it's good that you tested it.
Kela. Yeah.
You pause. You took a pause and you say Kela. A sound in it, right? So that's an incorrect example, but in a way it's good because we tested out our side.
Yeah.
So let's quickly look to the slides to see if I have more examples on it, and after that we will shift to our. So this is the short E that we did, and this is a revision of our long E.
I like the feet.
So feet, cheat, meat, all of them have long E in it. So next, I think it's 10:43. So we'll just do two more vowels, and then we'll open it up for discussion, and then we'll resume with the remaining vowels in the next class, right? So as of now, don't worry about how to write, oo. Just focus on the sound. Put, foot, soft oo, right? July, oo sound in it. Bhutan, boo, right? What other sound can you think of has soft O in it? Ooh.
June.
June.
I think.
June.
No.
No.
That's a lot. June. Yeah, you're right. That's long.
So
okay.
Let's open it up just a minute. So as of now, just focus on the sound.
We have choose.
Choose. Okay. Ooh. Where do you see O in it? Chew. Choose.
Yeah. Chew. Yeah.
Choose.
Which makes me think that chew.
Foot. 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 We did foot. Foot.
Foot. You did. Yeah.
What other sound do you see where it has O in it?
So we have boot and pool.
Pool.
Pool and boot.
Pool. Pull. What difference do you see versus pull versus pool? How do you say?
Pull.
Pull.
Yeah. Pool.
Pool. You see the difference, right? There's a soft O in it versus you have
the long one.
Right? Pool.
So this letter is this one.
Yeah, that's right. So this is pool will be an example of long oo.
Yeah.
And pull will be our short oo. Oo sound.
We have room.
Like full. Right?
Yeah.
So flower is full versus full. So Nemenin said like versus fool. Or this example.
Yeah.
So I'll write it down. Full versus fool. How do you? That's how you say it?
Yeah. Fool. Yeah.
Fool. Yeah. What a fool, right? So that would be a long oo versus full. A glass full of water, right? I mean, full, soft oo. What other examples? I hope it is clear on Nemenin. Right? I mean, let's say there's one more example from Puran. Room. Right? which sound in it? Is it room versus room? So think of it as like room. How do you say?
I see room.
Room.
Yeah.
So you say it with a long,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Which is correct, right? I mean, so this is like for a short to, it's an incorrect example. And a lot of time, like I said, we can clarify it with the native speaker, and we will know how to ask that in English, right?
We had one. Marcella had said roof. Roof.
Roof. Roof. Roof. Roof. You say roof or roof?
I say roof.
Roof. Roof.
Yeah.
Roof, right? So this will be again like a long oo.
Yeah.
Rude. Again long oo.
Yeah.
Right?
So yeah, it's interesting. It's almost like there's fewer examples in English of this sound. Which,
yeah.
Right. Because is this something? What about put? To put.
Put with it already. Put in a
put.
short
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Let's have Uma. Okay. Which is correct. Uma is a name. And Uma.
Right.
Uma. Uma. It's not Uma.
Right.
Uma is like a voice or IP device, if I remember correctly, right? So I think it's a very good example. Uma
like the
versus
actress, right? Uma Thurman, right? Is that her name?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Uma versus Uma. So there's a long. I hope it is getting clearer. We'll try to, as we, in the next class we'll be done with all the, vowels, and then it will become really like, okay, which one is it? Then we can have a fight over it actually.
I can't wait.
And then it's fun, right? Like, no, it's a short one. No, it's long, right? Alright, so I hope it is clear, right? And now let's look at the characteristics of this oo. Like how does it change the underlying consonant? Right? So again, imagine that this is your consonant X, and when you put, we haven't learned how to say right oo. Okay, so that's first important thing. So the way you write it is very simple. You have number 3, and you put like a bar on it. Yes. Oo. Right. And imagine that you have a consonant, and when you put oo in it, can you tell the target? So there is a tail on this side. It's not a waterfall anymore.
It's either a tadpole or a comma.
Okay, comma was like a flipped comma. Right? Yeah. So it's like on the bottom you will have like a, think of it as another tail. But,
there's a lot of tails today.
So oo, right? That's how the target state will be. So if my example was L, that's my consonant, let's say. So I put oo in it, it will be
Lu.
Let's have people write it down. How will you write it? So let's say the question is, you have L sound, which is, let's say you don't know this is a consonant, but you want to put oo in it. What will be the target sound? Okay. Lu, which is correct. Lu. Alright, so let's take a look at the last one, and then we'll open it up for discussion so that we don't run out of time.
Let's do it.
Alright, so the next one is, and we already covered a lot of examples of that as we were learning. So next one is oo, right? So 3, and then in between you are taking one more tail, and it will get clearer as we go through more and more. If we as we practice more and more. So again, the sound here would be like oo. Think of it as double O, oo, right? What were some of the?
We have a lot of examples for this. I think Marcelo had roof.
Roof.
At least as we say it in the Northeast.
Yeah.
Boot.
Boot. Oo sound, right? Boot. Some people write boot, right? When something.
Oh yeah.
Something happens, right? That's also oo sound. Right?
Puchu?
Pucho.
Pucho.
Pucho is to ask.
Oh,
Puchna.
yeah.
Puchna
Gotcha.
is to ask, right? So again, we're mixing both of them, which is completely fine. Puchna is to ask is the verb. So what about my son Winnie the Pooh, right? That's another thing.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Which is like long poo or short?
I say poo.
Poo. Yeah. Shorter one, right? That's the other one. Yeah, correct. What other sound do you have, or do you we just covered in the previous section that has like long oo in it?
Pool.
Hmm?
Pool. Like a swimming
Pool.
pool.
Okay, pool. What are some of the countries? Uzbek.
Marcella says food.
Food. That's right. Food. Examples are food. There's oo sound in it. Right. Some of the country names.
Let's see if we have people who come up with country names. It's a hard one.
It's a hard one. Uzbekistan.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one. Marcella says Uruguay. I guess it depends.
What about USA?
Oh, USA.
Right? United.
Yeah,
You. So essentially, when you say you say you or you. You, right? Hard, long U, right? So that's U again, right? Good. So those are some of the examples, and then I'll probably write down how it changes the the underlying consonant, and then we'll revise it quickly. Right. So again, the way you write it is like you write three, and then there is like a tail U, and if you have a consonant, and if you put U in it, there are many ways, but like so far in the earlier one, the tail was going on the left hand side. This time it will go in this side. Ooh, right? So the same example that we did before, the sound was r, let's say, right? It will become ru, ru, ru. So room, roof, rooster, all of them will have long ru in it. Right? I hope it is getting clear. We did so far how many vowels?
We did six.
Six, right? Which were a, e, u, and u. Right? So let's quickly look at the slide. I have a slide deck as well. Uh, Let me make sure that I covered all the examples of u. So this was the short u. Long u is food, spoon, June. Right? And that's the one which we didn't call YouTube. Right? To that extent, YouTube, you. And the tail is on the right hand side. Right? So I hope today's session it's been useful to learn these six vowels. We'll be able to finish all of them in the next class. I hope you'll be able to focus on the sound of all of them. Just to repeat, because some people joined a little late. We did as in alone. We did as in or mango. Right? We did e, which is it or in. We did e, sounds like feed, cheat, meat, right? Feed. Then we did oo, put, yep. And then
oh, you want another example?
more example.
I think you're July.
July, okay, oo. And then we did the oo, which is pool, June, right? All of them. Lot to digest, but but I hope it is getting clearer. And I'll open it up for discussion in a minute. But people who are watching online, I want this class to be a little bit more formal. So, and I know we have shorter time. We don't have that much time, but the assignment here is very simple. If you really want to earn a certification, Very simple. You can use Twitter, and you can follow Hindi University Twitter handle, and then write down at least one example for each of them. So I'll write it down. Exercise here is and I'll repeat it again and again so that we can always go back and So exercise here is like to follow Hindi University. And one example of each vowel. So 6 of the vowels that we covered in this class. You just have to, so that I can track it properly, you just send it to me on Hindi University, and you can use Learn Hindi, and then other hashtag you can use as vowel. I mean, I will be able to track this with this, but it's good that if you use both the hashtags, and then there are software available which can help you, like write the the script as well. But if you cannot, I mean, ideally it would be, I would prefer that you use like and then example. The example would be Alaska or alone. I'll give you actually one example so that there is no confusion, right? So a simple example could be that you can say that example of, that's the ideal way, example of who is
July.
Think of
I know that's the one that I think is so hard. No, we did put.
Put.
No, do you have one?
Let's say we take the longer one in that case.
All right.
Unique.
Unique. Right? Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one.
Unique. There's O in it, right? So
I like that one.
Right. So you can simple tweeters like this will help me evaluate it. I'll be able to tell you whether it's right or wrong. But I think this is a good way to sort of make sure that and not only that, there'll be other people who can also correct it, right? So that way, at least we'll have a good way to track it. Any questions? I'll stop broadcasting it and we'll open it up for discussion. And if you have any questions, we can answer that.